Mr. Rectangular himself.
CEO.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Sean Stevens.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Hey, Sean, what's that behind you there? You got your resume?
Oh yeah, I've got my standard everyday Zoom aesthetic as a CEO.
CEO, baby.
Should I change it? Go back and see my house.
Ah, beautiful. Beautiful. So, thanks for calling in. Nice to see you. How you been? I mean, other than the kidnapping.
Yeah, a little light kidnapping in the morning. I've been good. I've been back 10 days. It's been since the event, so I'm feeling good again. I finally got rid of the feel and look like I just got kidnapped aesthetic,
Yeah.
and starting to feel like I'm back to being myself, which is nice.
Have you considered that if you would have come to our live show, that perhaps the kidnapping would never have taken place?
I did not consider that until this very moment.
Yeah.
Oh
Something
my
to think
goodness.
about. Converging
Yeah,
paths.
that's true.
But anyway, no, I'm glad that everything is okay. I was actually I was worried as hell when I saw that headline. It was really quite unreal.
Yeah, listen, it was a crazy, crazy circumstance. I was thinking about it as I was sitting here watching this great podcast on ADHD and going pee and things. And the thought crossed me that I still am the luckiest man alive because there's other people that have had traumatic events that they just keep going. Like they go for weeks or months or years. And I had like a traumatic event, and admittedly, it was the lowest point of my life. But
Wow. Wow.
uh, I gotta say, the fact is, it's over. I'm home. I'm safe. My kids are safe.
Everybody, yeah. So,
Yeah.
um, so you went to Mount Kilimanjaro. Everything was good there. You guys hiked. You did the I traveled. How many miles did you travel? What was the official one there?
I think it was 12,352, although I could be wrong. Somebody could correct me on that.
Right.
Uh,
And
I did a
so,
video for you guys at the top, which is, took a lot of energy. I got to tell you, it was very high. It was very
yes,
hard.
we enjoyed it. We all enjoyed it. We watched it. Everybody was stoked to see you, hear from you.
Yeah,
So after you traversed the mountain, you guys decided to go visit your mom in South Africa, right?
correct. Yes. So she's been there since I was a kid. She runs an orphan project. Orphan isn't really the word. It's more like vulnerable children is how we describe it now.
Hmm.
And in that part of Africa, there's a lot of kids who need a lot of help. One out of every five children is in a bad way.
Hmm.
And she runs a huge project where she brings in literally hundreds of kids at a time and sort of figures out who are the children with food haven't eaten, who are the kids who need clothes, who are the kids who need advocacy, just need some papers or some help. They've lost their mother or father, and and sort of a big project to help a lot of people all at the same time. And she's been doing it since I was a kid. I mean, I have not been back in 20 years.
Hmm.
My first time returning to see her in decades.
And so what city is she in?
It used to be called Nelspruit. That's what most people know it as, but it's now called Mbombela.
Bombella. And so
Mbombela.
I guess walk me through how this happened. You arrived in where did you arrive? You traveled there by car. Do you mind kind of going through it if you're okay with that?
Yeah, not at all. It's a pretty traumatic story. So if everybody's okay with that, if you need to shut me down, like let me know. I'll talk about it happily, but want to make sure I don't stress anybody out, if
So
that makes sense.
that's a good disclaimer to make for sure. But I think we're okay. But it's nice to make that disclaimer. But yeah, I want to hear from you.
Sounds good. Yeah, so we went to there's another country which is inside South Africa called used to be called Swaziland. Now it's called the Kingdom of Eswatini. And in the Kingdom of Eswatini, there's a children's home where they have I think 84 kids there. And so we went to that home because they needed medicine that they couldn't get in Eswatini. So we brought them the medicine from South Africa. And that meant that we left a little bit later in the day than you'd usually leave. So we got there sort of midday and we hung out with the kids for a while. And then we went home back to where her project is, which is near Mbombela. And so on the way home, we'd gotten back late. So we were in downtown, like the downtown core of the city, previously known as Nelspruit. And we stopped at a gas station, and we had one person with us. We let off, and on the way out of the city, a cop pulled up behind me. So I looked up the window, and the blue lights and it's flashing, and so I did the appropriate thing you do when a police officer approaches a vehicle like that. You pull over the side, and I'm thinking, I'm driving on the wrong side of the street. I've probably done something wrong. I've always got that sort of guilt, like guilt you feel when a police officer pulls you over. And so I pull over to the side and roll down the window, and an officer comes to the front window, and he says, I need to see your license and registration. And so I'm immediately in that mode where's my license, looking for it, and I pull it out. I look at the police officer and I'm like, well, you're wearing a police vest, but you don't have a police hat on and you don't have a police shirt on. I said, look, are you a police officer? I mean, can I see your police designation? And then he started to get really, riled up and demanded and tell me that, what I was doing. You start yelling at me, and I'm like, this is really strange behavior coming from a police officer. And then finally, as we're sitting there getting in this little fight, he verbally, he says, turn off your car. So I say, okay, I'll turn off my car. You go get me your police officer badge and we'll be good. And so I turn off my car. And as soon as that happens, he reaches into the car and he unlocks my door. And now I'm thinking, okay, he's trying to drag me out of the car and do something. And instead, I sort of grab the door, I'm pulling it shut, and we're sort of scuffling. And then I realized, something's really off here. And I decided to try and get the car put back into gear. And then all of a sudden, all the doors open. I've got my two kids in the back seat and my mother sitting beside me in the passenger seat. And guys with guns jump into the car.
Yikes.
And point guns at myself, at my kids. So yeah, not a pleasant experience, definitely unpleasant. And anyway, so can I keep going? Is that okay?
Let me ask some, yeah, no, I mean, of course. So when you're pulled over, what kind of road are you on? Like, what's the atmosphere there? Are you in a city? Are you in like rural area? What's it like?
No, we're in a city, like right across from the magistrate's office, it's at night, so it's dark and the street lights, are sort of half there.
Okay.
But there's lots of traffic. There's cars whipping by us. Like this is in the middle of town.
So as they're holding you guys up with weapons, there's people driving by consistently.
Yeah, both directions, like just as if
how
nothing's
weird.
happened.
That probably put your guard down a little bit, getting pulled over like in a city like that.
For sure, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, so now obviously I'm like, okay, I've got a gun pointed at my head. I'm not going to fight anymore. I was scuffling. So the guy pulls me out of the car and then tries to force me into the back seat with my kids. And the back seat is actually folded down, so I can't really get in. And so the guy starts hitting me in the head with a gun, to either knock me unconscious or get me to move or whatever it was. And I'm like, guys, stop hitting me. We need to move the seat so I can get in. So I get in the back, and obviously family is distraught, obviously. Not a pleasant situation at all. So I'm sitting in the back, and now we've got these gangsters, well, I don't know what they call assailants, sitting in the back seat with me. And they say, put your heads down. And they jump in and they drive off like unsafely at the speed of light. And they say, keep your heads down, keep your heads down. And I'm like, okay, we went from a car sort of hijacking, stealing wallets to now some sort of kidnapping experience. Anyway, so they're holding us down against the sort of front of the car, and now they're threatening us. They're threatening to kill us. They're threatening us with they're hitting me in the head with a flashlight. They're, as I'm trying to sort of protect my kids. And I'm, you can imagine all the things going through my head. It's not a pleasant set of thoughts going through my head.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, we drive for about half an hour out into a rural area in the middle of nowhere, and they pull up to the side of basically in the like a little sort of a forested section, and there's a cliff. And literally, then we get out. They open all the doors to the car, and they start grabbing our wallets and demanding and yelling at us and threatening us, and basically threatening to kill us and throw us over the cliff. And then finally, the guy says, "Okay, I want to see your cards, your ATM cards and your credit cards." And I'm like, "Fine, it's just money. I don't care. Like, take it. Like, it's all yours." And so I give him the ATM card, and he sort of puts the code. He asks me what the code is. I say, "Here's the code. Like, take all the money. I don't care."
We had like a card scanner with him.
And so we went back to a truck. So there was a truck that was following us, a pickup truck.
Yeah.
The dual with a small back, and he was testing the card on some sort of device in the back. Then he came back to the car and he said, "Look, if this is wrong, I'm going to kill you and rape your daughter."
Jesus.
So, and then there's some other stuff that happened. Like he held my hand, held a gun against my hand, and said, "If this is, if you do anything, I'm gonna blow your hand off." It's sort of all sorts of stuff like that. And he's my mother who just had surgery. The guy is like sitting on her and not violating her, but pushing her around, etc. There's some other stuff I won't talk about, but just unpleasant behavior in general.
How old is your daughter?
She turned 18 on Kilimanjaro 2 weeks
Wow.
ago. So they grab me, drag me out of the car, throw me on the ground, and now they're kicking me in the face. I just didn't make any public appearances last week because I was bleeding out of the eyeballs, which is not pleasant. But fortunately, no scars, externally anyway. Anyways, they throw me down on the ground, and the guy's pointing a gun at me when the other guy kicks me, and he's demanding money, demanding other stuff. And finally, they're not happy in some reason about what they got. So they grab me and they take me back. And I'm like, obviously, this whole time I'm thinking, what's going on with my kids? Is my mom okay? And obviously, I'm the biggest guy around, so they're picking on me the most, thank God. They grab me and they drag me back to the back of their pickup truck and they throw me in the back of the pickup truck. And they grab my kids and they throw them in the back of the pickup truck. And we also had another child with a 12-year-old. They threw her in the back of the pickup truck. And then I didn't know where my mother was this whole time. And then they put myself, my kids, and they closed the back of the pickup truck. So we're encased in this little dark space in the back of this pickup truck. And they're yelling at us that they're going to kill us and that, we got to be quiet. And then for hours, it turned out to be about 3.5 hours, they drove around. And what they did is basically they went to ATM to ATM, pulling money out of cards. And they were going to threaten us if it was the wrong card or something, they would, pull us out, do whatever. And then they said, okay, we've gotten all the money we can. We're going to take you back to your car. And I'm thinking, okay, well, is that real? Like this whole time I'm thinking, I'm dead. Like I've seen their faces. I've seen the license plate. I've seen the make of the car. Like I kind of know where I am. And so now, this is a highly unpleasant situation. And they take us back. And for about an hour, we're now driving back hypothetically to our car. But my son says, look, we're not going back to our car, Dad. Like this is obviously farther than we went. And so now I'm having this existential crisis about we're not going to make it. And I'm like, son, like we got to take these guys out or do something about it. Like, I don't know karate or anything. Like we just, we got to do something. So I said to the girls, I'm like, you guys need to run when the thing opens and we'll take on the attackers.
How old is your son?
15. So we're got this like plan happening and we're like trying to sort of get going. Okay. And I'm certain as soon as I get out of the car, I'm taking a bullet to the head, which is not a pleasant idea. Anyway, so we get out of the car, they're pointing guns at us, and our car is actually there. And they're like, okay, jump in the car and you guys can go. And I'm like, okay, what? Really? Are they going to shoot us on the way out? What's going to happen here? And eventually we got back in the car. I literally said goodbye to the kidnapping / bad guys, and we drove off.
Holy fuck.
Just like that. Wow.
Yeah, so it was an amazing holiday, punctuated by a perfectly horrible experience at the end.
God,
I highly recommend not doing that if any of you went on holiday, by the way.
So when you guys you guys got back in, so what happened? They drove your car somewhere else and then
Yeah,
drove
that's
you
what we
to it?
think. We drove our car somewhere else to sort of we've actually got, we'll know where the car went. The police have all this information. We're still tracking our phones. Like I know exactly where our phones are, which is bizarre. They haven't, we can still use Find My iPhone and go see where they are.
They're probably you made a good point. Like you knew who they were, you had all the details, that didn't deter them. It's probably, I would imagine, some level of corruption going on there with the police, no? Or do you not suspect that?
The police actually admitted that there was corruption happening. Like they told us flat out, we were actually there near where you got kidnapped, and we got taken elsewhere as a result of corruption inside the police.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So when you guys got back in the car, everyone got in. Did you just drive off real quick? Like what was the temperature in the car? I mean, obviously there must have been a lot of relief to get back in there with everyone, but I'm curious, what was the feeling and the conversation thereafter?
Yeah. So immediately everyone started asking if we're okay, but I got to tell you, I still thought we were in danger. I presumed that, they could still follow us back. They knew they had our phones, so they now know where we're going. They had our map like the Google map that I had running. So I'm still thinking they're going to follow us and try and get more out of us or do more stuff. We need to get out of this situation now.
Yeah.
So I just left. There was stuff on the ground. We just left the stuff, jumped in the car, and immediately drove off. And as soon as we found people, which is about 20 minutes later, we asked them where we were, and they said, "You're going the wrong way." And here's the next part. So we actually drove back, and the first city we hit, or town, was called White River. We stopped at the White River police station, and we're like, "Hey, we just got kidnapped. This is a horrible situation." And they literally just looked at us. They were like, "Yeah, there's nothing we can do. You're Canadians. Like, sorry." And I'm like, "What? You're supposed to be the
Wow.
police."
Yeah, I've
Like,
heard
what?
that in South Africa specifically, the crime is really crazy. Like I've heard people saying that there's certain neighborhoods you don't stop at the red lights because it's just so dangerous.
Yeah, well, I don't plan to go back to South Africa anytime soon. At this point, the macro attitude is I don't want to go back to Africa. Maybe I'm not going to let my children out of their rooms. I'm just going to wrap them in pillows,
Right.
like bubble
Yeah.
tape, and
Yeah.
yeah. But now I'm calming down a little bit. I'm like, okay, we can go travel elsewhere. Just let's lay off Africa for a while.
So you guys drove off you said about 20 minutes to the nearest police station, and
Yeah,
they didn't care.
yeah. And I was like, guys, back in the car. We're going to another police station. So put everybody back in the car, and we drove to the bigger city. We actually drove back to 2 blocks where the guys picked us up.
Mm.
That's where the big local police station was. And once we got there, to be honest, they were a little bit confused. Literally, they said, "Hey, well, we really can't help you. You're Canadians. I'm not sure what we're going to do." And as it happened, there was a member of the tourism board there, and the tourism person freaked out on them and was like, "Guys, we got to do something for these people." And I got to say, she was a rock star. And she sort of helped us all the way through the thing. And suddenly we're in contact with the embassy. And then we had, the sort of SWAT team showed up, and, it
Oh
turned into a
wow.
thing. And suddenly it's 7 o'clock in the morning and we're sitting at home with guys with machine guns everywhere. And literally I packed my bags, took my kids, put them on a plane, and ran away. Like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
So
man, that is harrowing. That is a horrible experience. But
it was,
thankfully, I mean, I'm so happy for you that everyone is safe.
guys, it's so nice to see you guys. I
Yeah.
can't tell. It is. And honestly, thank you for having me on here. Somebody said to me, when you go through a really traumatic experience, if you hold it in and you keep it to yourself, then you have to carry it with you for the rest of your life. But if you share it with people that you love, then they can carry a little tiny bit for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I love you guys and love your family. I appreciate it.
Damn. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
The feeling is mutual.
Oh yeah.
So, you guys flew home like the same day, the night after, came
Yeah,
home, and
didn't sleep, got on a plane.
how are the kids doing?
Ah, amazing. My children are like, I think I hard boiled them at some point. I gotta say, I have these moments where I realize I'm a terrible father because you shouldn't have put your kids through this. Like, it's not something that you should never have put your kids in a
I
situation where
wouldn't blame yourself for that one.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
yeah. Life either grinds you down or polishes you up, just depends on what you decide you're made of.
Mm.
So I think that they've just been amazing. Like, I can't stop crying, they're fine. So maybe we'll get them later.
Wow.
So yeah.
I'm curious, how did they know? How did they spot you guys, do you think? They probably identified you guys as tourists, right? Ahead of the time?
Yeah, they actually admitted that. So they said that they knew us. I'm not sure, like maybe this is psychological stuff, but we had previously stopped at a McDonald's, oddly enough. And they said that they saw us at the McDonald's and they followed us. My hair was not green at that point. It had sort of washed out to Kilimanjaro white. So I doubt they recognized me. I think they just recognized us as rich people. And we were driving a rental car. Like, it wasn't a nice rental car. It was just a normal ass rental car. So,
Mhm.
now I would also say that they had hijacked or tried to hijack somebody the night before, and they hijacked somebody 2 days later. And it's an ongoing issue for that region.
So the police
Huh.
really don't care about it at all. These guys are doing this like just day to day.
Apparently.
Yeah, this is great for the tourism there. I agree. I'm sure everybody's racing to visit beautiful South Africa.
I feel bad for them for that. This cannot be good for their entire industry. You know, for a very poor place, you know, to scare off everybody that might come and spend money there. Look, there are not enough zebras or giraffes in the entire world that make me want to go back to that
Yeah,
place.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, it's the site of a great trauma for you guys.
Yeah.
Um, so my question is, so you dyed your hair since coming back? How long since when you landed did you go back green?
Sunday. You know what? My
Mm.
there's like trauma counselors who've been in front of all these trauma counselors, and they're really helpful and everything. But I got to tell you, there's nothing better than going and seeing your hairstylist to,
The barber.
yeah, that is the way. So I love my hairstylist, and she looked after me very well. And honestly, like shaving off all of the like noise of all of that was like the moment that I'm like, okay, now I'm back. I can continue to go back to doing loving things like helping businesses and making music and dancing and stuff like stuff that it's positive for the world.
Mm. Wow. Well, that's an experience I hope that nobody ever goes through. That is really, really tough.
I agree. I agree.
How much money did they steal from you in the end? Like through all the trips to ATMs and stuff?
We lost about $20,000 in
Oh,
the end,
wow.
about 10 in cash and 10 in stuff.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
Truth is, I don't care. You know, I had
Yeah.
every insurance I thought that you could get, but every insurance company's like, oh no, you didn't have this and you're in a car. And so car insurance doesn't cover it because this is supposed to cover it. And you
Nice.
know, I spent about a day calling insurance companies. Now I'm like, okay, I can go make $20,000 faster than I can talk to you insurance companies. You
Yeah.
suck.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's great. That's a nice cosign for the insurance out there.
For the insurance world.
They're like,
Yeah.
excuse me, you didn't have terrorism insurance.
Literally, that's one of the things they said. They like
Yeah.
one said, this is an act of God. I'm like, this is definitely not an
That
act
is an
of God.
act of a human
Sure.
being,
That is a
literally. Yeah.
man.
That is the very intentional act of a human being.
Yeah.
So are you inspired here? Are we circular? Are we rectangular? Has it changed your shape at all?
Yeah, a bunch of comments have said, you know, are you going to now go all dark and start writing like dark music? I don't know, but you know, to date, most of my music is about bad relationships, and so it's already depressing enough.
Hmm.
I should be about how happy and amazing I am. So I'm not an amazing artist that sits down and creatively knows exactly what they're going to write, like a Taylor Swift. I'm more like collecting toenails. You know, I just have like a jar of emotions and I put
Right,
stuff
right,
in.
right.
At the end, I'm like, hey, look at this crazy jar I have of music. And so it's probably going to come out in some horrible way later. I'm sorry for that in advance.
Oh,
Uh,
yes. We accept your apology, but we'll be watching regardless.
Yay, yay.
Oh,
Right back at
brother. Well, I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, I'm just relieved you guys are all okay, you know. That was a I know it's weird to say, but it's a happy ending in the sense that they brought you back to your car and you guys left. I mean, that's amazing.
it is, right? Like when you get your kids back at the end, you know, my advice for travelers is always never take anything you can't afford to lose with you traveling. Including your life. So if you're traveling and you're afraid you're going to lose your wallet or your keys or your special sweater, don't take your sweater with you. But it's a whole other thing when you take your kids traveling because you can't afford to lose your kids. And so you know, for me, it's this huge thing. Do I take my kids traveling ever again, or do I keep them in their rooms? Like I have to like do some counseling around that for the rest of my life, probably.
Well, they're close to being adults now, but yeah, I see where you're feeling a tremendous amount of guilt for what happened to the kids.
Yeah, you know what? Definitively, they're both adults now. Like any shred of children that they had is gone now. I'm sorry to say. That's maybe the guilt that I have. Like, how do you have innocence left after you've, you know, been thrown in the back of a truck and kidnapped? That's unpleasant.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
no, I don't feel like a great dad in this situation. I feel like a terrible father, to be
Well,
honest.
did you go there knowing that like it's extremely dangerous? I wouldn't expect to get kidnapped anywhere for Christ's sake. Visiting your mom.
Yeah, I mean, she's been there 35 years and never had that problem.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? I drive down the street every day and lots of people have car accidents, and I'm not expecting to have a car accident.
Right.
But, you know, if you drive incredibly unsafely, you're more likely to have a car accident. And if you travel to the depths of Africa, you're more likely to get kidnapped. I think that those are so the increase of likelihood, like as a person, I absorb a lot of risk. And, sometimes when you push the boundaries push back. It just sucks when it happens.
Well, I'm glad you guys are all okay. I hope you're not too hard on yourself there, and I hope you guys are all you guys are all doing like therapy and stuff after that.
Oh, for sure. From hairdresser to professional, all the way through. And, coming and talking to you.
Yes.
That's
the best.
The most therapeutic, people have said.
Woo. Yeah. Absolutely. You're going to do a test on whether you're a therapist or not.
It's a good story. I mean, I'll say for the kids, like if I had a kidnapping story, if I was in college, that'd be kind of dope. That'd be sick. Like,
true.
I was kidnapped. Like, what? That's crazy. That's a good story.
And we'll have a story for a long time.
The one thing is you want to sort of balance having a good story and not it being the narrative of your life. Like being a victim who got kidnapped, like that sucks. Like to be honest, like I don't want to be known as the guy who got kidnapped. That sucks as a narrative.
No, you're the rectangular guy.
Yeah, rectangular guy. Let's go back to that.
Yeah. I'll say you're so close to the incident, it feels like that, but I promise you that won't be the case. Not at all. Yeah, you're not going to be the kidnap guy. Promise.
Guy. Yeah. Now, totally, people are gonna come up to me on the street and be like, "Hey, you're the kidnap guy."
No, don't do that.
Hey, I was at an Oliver Tree concert on Monday night, which is like our first as a family first outing, and I got accosted by everybody who was like, "You're the H3 guy," which is
that's good. It wasn't the kidnapping thing.
No, it wasn't the kidnapping guy.
Did anyone know you were kidnapped?
Yeah, a bunch of people did. Most people knew me as Rectangular, like we're singing Rectangular line and things like that. So thank you for that. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I think if you're hearing it, it's just because people care. But I don't think in a year people are going to still be saying kidnap guy, especially with all the tremendous music and all the shapes we look forward to celebrating.
Right?
Yes.
Exactly. I'm going to do my best to do beautiful, amazing things for the rest of my life and be known for that instead.
Yes,
for sure.
Yes.
Although I might have to write some really terrible, low-effort book at some point, I won't. I promise not to.
Well, I'm there for whatever, man.
I don't want to write a book about this. I want to be over and move on with life.
Yeah, wow. Well, I'm glad you guys are okay. That's a hell of a story.
Thank you.
So, is there any advice you give people traveling there? Is there anything you wish you did differently that might help other people, or did you feel it just kind of came on you so fast?
Yeah, it just came on real fast. When you travel, bad stuff does happen. I mean, I've traveled all over the world, not just in the last year, but for all of my life. And every once in a while, like if you talk to somebody who's been to 50 countries, they will tell you they've been mugged or held up, or it's unfortunately part of the traveling world. And if you don't, but you also get to see beautiful things and taste beautiful things and meet beautiful people. And there's all sorts of positives that come with it. So, I might need to take a break for a little bit. I'm going to visit safe places like, I don't know, Ukraine. No, I'm sorry.
There you go.
I know.
The front line.
I'm thinking Sweden.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Don't say that. You're gonna get mugged and kidnapped or
Absolutely
something.
Not. Absolutely, I guarantee.
Don't jinx it. But Sweden is very safe, right?
Yeah, definitely.
No kidnappings?
No, I don't think
Very
so.
little.
Very little.
Low level of kidnapping.
Iceland doesn't even have mosquitoes. Like that's a
Iceland, you'll be good because everybody knows everyone there. If you just, they'll be like, oh, there goes Kevin. He's kidnapping again.
There is volcanoes just kind of perpetually erupting.
True, natural disasters. Have you considered that?
Form of.
Actually, that's a terrible place to go.
Yeah, that's a natural disaster waiting to happen. Where's the safest place for you to go? I wonder.
Disneyland.
People have died at Disney, but overall, it's probably safe.
Apparently, even with the volcanoes, Iceland is the safest place on Earth.
Really?
So that, according to Google. So
the safest. And by what metric do they measure that?
Let's see. It looks like it's actually some like UN organization.
That sounds good, Sean. Safest.
Yeah, that's okay. I think Iceland must be the next place I travel.
That's good.
You got to be back on the horse at some point, right? Yeah. So, or I should also come to LA. But is LA safe? I don't know. Do you guys feel
moderately?
I think
probably,
there's kidnappings are.
It's a big city.
They happen probably every now and then. No, I'm kidding. I think it's a safe city. I mean, obviously there's certain neighborhoods that you won't go to. Like you have to intentionally go there.
True.
They're going to be unsafe, but anywhere that you would be traveling in LA, I'm sure I feel safe here personally. Yeah, I like LA.
Right on. Well, I'll put that on my list as well. Iceland and LA.
There you go.
Not as safe as Iceland, though. I can't make that
not
guarantee.
quite. Not quite.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah,
Well-
I gotta reorganize all the places I want to go in my bucket list to the degree of safety now. Instead of the degree of fun. Skydiving is definitely off the list.
Well, Sean, I'm glad everyone's okay, and I appreciate you calling in and sharing your story with us.
That's good. Love you guys. Listen, it's so nice to see your faces and still be alive.
We'll look forward to. We got to get you a live performance going here soon.
That would be super fun. I would love to do that.
Yes, yeah, we'll make that. We'll figure that out. But there it is, Sean Stevens.
Sean Stevens. All right.
Love you all.
Stay rectangular, my friend.
Stay rectangular. Exactly. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
See you later.
Take care.
Bye.
As I said, not funny.
It's not funny. It's pretty traumatic. Yeah.
That's like that's like a bona fide nightmare.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm so happy they're okay. They could have so easily not been.
Yeah. That's really got to be like the greatest relief of your life when they're just like, okay, here's your car.
I mean, I guess I'm just speculating here, but they were probably wise enough to realize that killing foreign nationals would get them in a lot more trouble than it's worth. You know
that would have
been
news. Their kidnapping was news.
Yeah, I mean that oftentimes like if like an American citizen say is traveling overseas and gets murdered, the American government will lean on that country to make sure it gets properly investigated and everything. Whereas, them being Canadian, they probably realized, it's probably just a lot easier to just send them on their way.
Well, and especially if the police don't fucking do
Right,
anything
exactly.
anyway. I'm guarantee that there's police chiefs and police sergeants or whatever getting rubbed down.
Yeah, they're getting
20,000. If they're doing that, that's crazy numbers, man. If they're doing that on a daily basis,
true. That's very true.
Fuck, that's horrible. I'm scared now.
Yeah, it made me so sad to hear him say that he feels like a bad dad.
Yeah,
he
that's
sounds
tough.
Like, that story makes him sound like a wonderful dad who cares so much about his kids.
That's tough because it's like the trauma makes you think fucked up things. I kind of empathize with him in the sense that but it's not his fault. It's just horrible that he's gonna feel that way, you know.